Well, what is going on, Notre Dame fans? Mike Singer and Tim Hyde live on the Blue and Gold YouTube channel on a Wednesday night. Hope everyone is doing well. We had a lot to talk about already, and then you get news that Nick Saban is retiring from his post at Alabama after 17 years. And Tim Hyde has a lot to say. I had to tell Tim multiple times before I hit that live button. Tim, save it for the show. Tim, shush. Save it for the show. Don't get all the good stuff out now. So we're going to talk about some of this stuff with Tim Hyde. We're going to talk about the national championship a little bit, and we're not just talking about this news from college football fans' perspective. It's also from the Notre Dame perspective. Like we're not a national show, but we're a Notre Dame show. So we're going to talk about some of this national news though, and maybe how it does tie back into Notre Dame. Fighting Irish have 4 commitments in the past 5 days. 2 from the high school ranks, and Chris Burgess and Ethan Long, and then a couple from the transfer portal. We're actually going to talk to Ethan Long here in about 20 minutes. Yeah, we just a ton to talk about. So, folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the channel for more Notre Dame football and recruiting content if you have nothing so yet. And head to blueandgold.com, your home for all things Fighting Irish football and recruiting coverage, even basketball. If you're a basketball junkie, you can head over to the site to check out our basketball coverage. And our special offer for our YouTube and podcast audience is $1 for 2 months of coverage. Again, that's $1 for 2 months for new subscribers using the promo code UND1. So please do check that out over at blueandgold.com. So yeah, Tim, the news of the day, the news of the year, and it's only January 10th, is Nick Saban. It is official now that he is retiring. And I saw a tweet from one of the national writers that said something to the effect of just, a couple days ago, he was, doing some interviews with some different staffers and stuff. And he was working today, or he has been all week. This isn't something like it came out of the blue. Or excuse me, it totally did come out of the blue. It's not like this was expected around the office. So Tim, what's your reaction here?
Oh, I mean, I had my kids were getting cleaned up after eating dinner and whatnot. Boom, comes across. Start texting with my best friend out in Southern California. Like, oh, look at this. Oh, this is massive. It's huge. And my first, once again, you said it perfectly just a minute ago. What's it mean for Notre Dame? And it's like you start thinking of all those things. I think this is just massive because number one, it's Nick Saban, obviously, and what he's done at Alabama is just legendary. It's iconic, what he's done since he's been there. But this is huge. My first reaction is like, okay, it's 12-team playoff. He's done. He doesn't want to be involved in this, and probably just the nonstop craziness that is taking place in college football of we've talked about it ad nauseum. It's nonstop, and it's just like 72 years old. He obviously can still coach. I mean, they went undefeated in the SEC. They're not a bunch of scrum bums, and if anything, I watched that Bama Michigan game a handful of times. They had that thing wrapped up, man. So much control, and just blew that thing away at the end. I mean, it is what it is there. Obviously, Michigan goes on and wins the thing, but no, it's a tsunami, man. It's huge. It's huge because the dominoes off of this. I already saw someone in the chat I've seen on Twitter and everything. Oh, Bama's not going to be the same. Number one, it's Alabama. Okay, Bama's not going anywhere. I mean, Bama's had tiny little periods in their history where they've disappeared, and they've always come back storming back with champs, with titles. They did it before the Bear, and then there was a 10-year gap between the Bear and Gene Stallings. Stallings wins one. 10 years between Stallings and Saban. They were under 500 in the SEC. Saban comes and bam, the rest is history. So they're not going to sit back and have a big lull and stuff like that. I'm not expecting. But this era of the NIL, the portal, the days, Mike, I just made a sticky note of this, the days of just stockpiling 25 5-stars. How's that possible? I don't think it is. So the Jimmies and the Joes, the players especially where they're at. I mean, look at Kirby Smart, for crying out loud. That's probably the most stable program in the country. He's got 20 plus guys in the portal, 20 plus. So I think Bama's going to have about 40 in the
Yeah.
next 40 hours, possibly. So, just long ways to wrap it around. We'll jump into questions or anything of that nature, and even thoughts between you and I bouncing off. Is it's hard to be stable, and I think stability wins in this day and age. But how are you stable in the South? In the South is cutthroat football, and all these guys. I mean, you're down there, Mike, and you've been around it. But all the old dogs that have been around forever, man, it is cutthroat down there. It's a different world. Look at all these 5 stars, not just A&M or Georgia. Bama's going to have a few, but they're just, my God, the Ole Miss. Ole Miss has an All-American running back, not getting enough money, and he's leaving. Right? Is that official Ohio State? I think. Right? I have no idea.
Yeah.
Is it? I thought it was. I didn't even click on it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I could care less. But that's the SEC. That's the South. It is brutal. And I think if you're not playing, and we've talked about this a million times, you're more likely to leave down south because you're all these guys all know each other between Florida, Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, all these guys playing high school football. They go see, oh, my buddy's playing. I should be playing. It's going to be wild down there. And I'm probably more excited after Michigan winning, which is like, how the hell am I saying that? Correct. But for Notre Dame, stability. Can stability win out? And at a place like Notre Dame, you get different dudes at Notre Dame than you do Alabama. You just do. And can you just stabilize it? Keep those guys coming, which Freeman seems to have. He's purged a few, and that's fine. I don't think there's any guys that have left in his 2 years, right, that are like, oh, my God, earthquake, shattering. No, they've replaced anyone that's left in 2 days. And I think at Notre Dame could do that long term. So jump in here. I could rattle for 45
Yeah, I know you.
minutes.
All right. I want to read you a hot board list of potential candidates.
Oh,
and
sure.
Tim, I swear to God, I will cut you off.
I'll give you 4 seconds. I'll give you 4.
I'll cut you off after 10 seconds. So we're going to go through all these guys. You tell me, just give me 2 sentences on each of them, okay? Mike Norvell, Florida State. Just your thoughts on each of these as potential candidates.
He's down the street, Florida State. Heck of a football coach, multiple head coaching stints. He could go to Alabama in a heartbeat.
Dan Lanning seems like the top one from everyone. What would you think about that?
Young, he proved it as a DC under Kirby. He was with Alabama for a period. He was Nick Saban thought he was going to hire him as a DC before Kirby did way back when. So he's a Southern guy.
Yeah, currently out at Oregon, of course, but yeah, Southern guy.
$20 million buyout. I just saw
$20 million buyout.
$20 million buyout. Phil Knight was like, "You're not getting away."
Steve Sarkisian, Texas, of course, worked at Bama.
Yeah, I've been around Sark a million times in my life. Great guy. I don't think he leaves because Texas is Texas.
Yeah,
that's my first gut. And he's got Quinn Ewers. He's gonna be probably him and Georgia are gonna be the SEC favorites next year.
Kalen DeBoer, the guy who you hoped would be Notre Dame's head coach.
I love that guy. Well, number one, he's the ball coach, experience. You know me, I'm a big believer in experience. Head coach at the NAIA, head coach at geez Louise, I can't even think. Fresno State, Washington. He's a winner. Wherever the dude's been, he's won. They were 4-8 2 years ago, for crying out loud.
Lane Kiffin.
West Coast guy who's now become a SEC guy. His whole history, experience, the same thing. That's the thing with Nick Saban went to Alabama. He had boatloads of head coaching experience. Kiffin would bring that as well.
Yeah. Head coaching experience with my Miami Dolphins. Don't want to talk about it. Still hurt. Deion Sanders. No way, right? Someone said in the chat, oh, they have there's the Aflac connection to Saban.
Aflac. Yeah. Hey, there you go.
What the hell does that have to do with anything?
Mike, you keep the commercials consistent. Okay. You just move on. You got one Bama guy to another Bama guy.
All right. James Franklin, no shot.
Man, right. I cannot stand James Franklin. I think I've told you this before. I've met him before. I've been at a clinic with other coaches, hanging out with him for a day. One of the worst experiences of my life. He's a complete jerk. But there you go.
And then Dabo, which has kind of been the one that you've thought for years, he is the natural succession plan kind of deal as a former, or he's an Alabama alum.
with
But
the
I just
title
kind of
runner.
wonder
So
if that's not as
yeah.
sexy of a hire now because they've been down a little bit.
Still Dabo. I mean, the guy could win. He's proven it this year. It's like even when, I mean, they had. I mean, that's the thing. This year's crazy. Fumbleitis killed those guys, or that Notre Dame Clemson game would have been prime time had they not fumbled away. No, he's going to be fine. You know what I mean? He's up there because he's a Bama guy. He's an alum. He won a national title with Gene Stallings as a wide receiver coach there for a decade. So yeah, he's got to. If you're going to leave Clemson, you're going to go to Alabama because once it's resources, the resources at Alabama, or they'll give you whatever you want. There's no questions. We don't have to wait, 3 years for boosters to raise the funds like that program up in South Bend does. No, you need it. We build it. We'll pay for it later. So resources. Dabo's got to be there just because he's Dabo Sweeney and he's an Alabama alum.
Yeah. And then Mike Vrabel and Dan Quinn are thrown in there. They're currently NFL guys. We're not going to really talk about them. But then the last name, Marcus Freeman, was thrown in there, and multiple guys thrown in Freeman.
Yeah, I saw just a tweet. I was like, really? I mean, it was Pete Thamel. He probably got it from his agent. It's all agent hype. That's the other thing this time of year. Names you see on Twitter, 99% of them are usually wrong because it's agents. But yeah, I mean, Marcus Freeman, sure, you could say, oh, we're getting the Notre Dame coach. But man, it's experience. I think experience will. My thing. I mean, I've studied Alabama a bunch through the years and whatever because I love following the big dogs of college football. Alabama made massive mistakes when they hired 2 rookie head coaches. Notre Dame's done it 3 times since Holtz. Alabama's done it twice with DeBose and Shula, and they were horrible. And that's why they were like, we're not doing this again. They went and they waited for Nick Saban. Coaches were passing them by, waited for Saban, got him. I don't think they're going to hire a young coach. I just don't. So, which I know is odd because Dan Lanning, but Lanning is a Southern guy. But that $20 million buyout, man, that's some deep South pocketbooks right there.
Yeah. So who do you like? Like if you were Alabama's AD, who would you want?
Once again, I said consistency. It's not so much building a program, but a name. Who's going to come in there to keep? It's the South, man. The South is it's a different world.
It is.
You live down there. It's a different world. Dabo is the guy. He's the guy because he's got rings. When you go to Alabama, he's got rings.
But is he not adjusting? Is he not adjusting at Clemson? Would he do it in Bama?
It's Alabama, man. You have to adjust.
But it's Dabo
right?
Sweeney,
But once again, I don't know who spends more money as alums, Clemson alums or Alabama alums? Who's got which the funds, the resources, the NIL. He goes to Alabama. It's a different world than probably.
Yeah, but I think it's more of the Dabo. Like someone just said, Dabo refuses to use the portal. So
exactly because he wants to build he's a culture guy. That's been Michigan now. That's been Michigan. Michigan hasn't gone and got 25 transfers. They've been just like Marcus Freeman. They went and picked a couple guys, and a couple guys started on Monday night. So Jim Harbaugh, Sweeney, Harbaugh. Dabo. I haven't followed them. I don't know if he's signed any, but he's going to stick with his guys. And they ended up winning another bowl game this year. Ended up rallying at the end of the year. Ended up being ranked after the horrible start. So, and even last year they won 10 games. I mean, they've got 10, 12 years in a row of 10 wins. I don't think they got the 10 this year, did they?
Yeah.
9 and 4, so I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I think that might have squeezed.
Did they really in the bowl game?
I'm not sure. Let's see. 9 and 4. 9 and 4.
Yeah, 9 and 4. 9 and 4. So that broke his 10 game.
So, Tim, you've got 5 minutes on the championship game. You always love to throw out the blue chip ratio and how all of the national championship teams had such and such blue chip ratio. I don't remember what that number was, nor do I know what Michigan and Washington had, but they are not perennial top 5, even top 10 classes. So I'm curious, kind of, your take on Michigan and Washington being in the title game, and then I don't know if that kind of gives you any hope for Notre Dame to kind of see a blueprint maybe of sorts. Just curious on your take on this.
Yeah, we could even get into this more so after Long comes on and chats with us for a little bit. But I mean, number one, you got two really good head coaches, but older teams, old teams. Those guys were, I mean, they had 6-year seniors all over the place, especially at Washington. And then you got Harbaugh, which I've broken down his roster. His entire offensive line was 5th-year seniors. Remind me like of the 2020 Notre Dame group. That was all older guys up front. So a lot of old guys, only a couple transfers here and there, playing spot duty. Yeah, Michigan was, I went and looked it up. I think they're 55% blue chip. Washington was under. 50's been the threshold. It's been 50. The winner's been 50. 50. Anyone above 50 has been in the running.
Oh,
go back to all the teams, it shows it. Clemson won one with like 57%. Oregon was in the low 50s.
That's not that bold of a stat then, Tim. That's really not.
Mike, there's only like 16 teams that meet it. Notre Dame.
Yeah, I think
there's not a lot of teams.
Tim, I think a 7-year-old could pick the 16 teams that are most likely to win the national championship.
Yeah, well, those are the ones that are recruiting the players. So that's the TCU would have been an outlier last year, but I mean, it is 50. It's just you got to recruit, 50%, and now they've been doing the transfer. And once again, it's a data point. It's just something that's interesting to look at and roll from there because some teams have done it. Obviously, the lowest teams, Clemson, Oregon, almost won it. Yeah, elite Heisman Trophy quarterbacks. Watson was a Heisman winner, but obviously finished second. And then with Michigan, the one thing with it was just how old they are. You start looking at their roster and you're like, my God, it's like you played it. You signed in 18. These 20 guys signed in 19.
Yeah.
An old roster. And then you got their elite players. Obviously, the two running backs were high-end top 100 players, and you sprinkle them in with a few others here and there. But overall, I mean, that team was just obviously also on a mission. And I think that's a big thing that they were. I'm sure there'll be 8,000 other comments about it and blah, blah, blah. But the players went out there and kicked butt. And, and that's hard as a guy as a coach. I've coached 30 years. Those players went out there and knocked the living hell out of people, this season. They're physical. That's what gives me hope with Notre Dame if they could do that because they have proven it. And that's even going back to Georgia. Georgia's not a 4 or 5 wide offense. They're going to sit in 12 personnel and slam the ball down your throat and play defense. And even watching Michigan's defense looks just like Notre Dame's. They can live in a 4-2-5. They play, they have a stand-up guy, they're Mike and Will, same as Notre Dame, with JD and Maris and Kaiser rotating. And they play 5 DBs every single snap, just like Notre Dame. So that was interesting. See schemes match up. Michigan, Notre Dame scheme match up with the running game. It's just all about, that word, Mike Goolsby talked about on Sunday, the culture. And and you hope Freeman, after 2 years, just keeps doing it. And I think that goes back to the thing I said earlier is stability. Just keep a stable, man, a message. And I'm a big believer in messaging. And I think that's one thing Michigan had. And obviously Washington had it with their older veteran football team as well.
So get my days lost here. Would have been Monday. Yeah. A few hours before that national championship game, Notre Dame picked up a new commitment from Ethan Long from the Brunswick school. And I mispronounced the town that this school is in. And I had a lot of people yell at me in the comments. I'm like, hey, calm down. I've never been there. Greenwich, Connecticut is where the Brunswick school is. So I would screenshot this, Notre Dame fans. You see the rankings right now on the screen? There's just no shot that that's where this kid ends up. It's, I mean, ESPN hasn't even gotten to ranking them yet. Have they? Let me check real quick. No. So, we got to get ESPN to wake up here. So, this is Ethan Long committing to Notre Dame over Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan. So, a strong offer list. And we actually have Ethan Long, and he's going to join the show now. So Ethan, appreciate you hopping in here, man. Very nice shirt. Ethan, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So this is my co-host Tim Hyde, also a Northeast guy. And
Okay.
Tim, I know you had a couple questions for Ethan. We'll kind of just go right to you.
Yeah, heck, I'll just jump into it. Mike usually sets it up with his recruiting takes as he yaps, and then I jump in. But yeah, real quick, Ethan, I'm up here in beautiful, sunny New Hampshire. So
Okay.
we've got about 20 inches of snow since Sunday, so this has been fun. And then today we had 45 degrees and 2 inches of rain. So
Yeah.
that's been interesting. But yeah, wild weather we've been getting here
Yeah.
the
We had
last.
crazy rain and wind today.
Yeah, exactly. That wind was nuts yesterday. Got up to 40 miles an hour up here, so it was wild. But no, my big thing, I've coached. I've coached college and been a high school coach. I just finished my 30th year, and I always love talking, to recruits, especially from programs where you're at, where you come from, and I call them high achievers. I've coached at some really elite Catholic schools in Southern California back in the day, and high achievers meaning weight room doesn't bother you, practice doesn't bother you, study doesn't bother in you, all those things. So, my question is just comparing the school where you're coming from to Notre Dame. And then my second question is, a Michigan guy just won a national title from your school Monday, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, all right. I don't know if your head coach had mentioned all that stuff. So that's just awesome that someone from your school, obviously going to the big time. So your league is elite. That's one thing I want to throw out there is the football you play is really good football. A lot of high end football players in your league, so that's pretty good. But lastly, that comment Freeman talks about is choose hard. So talk about choosing hard from your high school program, getting ready to go to Notre Dame.
Yes. So, Notre Dame and Brunswick are very similar, high academic, great schools that set you up and prepare you for your future. Brunswick's great doing that. The teachers are so great tutoring me. They're taking care of me, making sure I understand the topic. And you could see that too at Notre Dame. Like I met with the academics guy and he was all for it. Like he's like, this is your schedule. This will be your schedule to meet with your teachers, get to class on time, get your work in, just staying on top of those things. And that's a big thing for me. Like school, like I'm a student athlete. Like I have to take care of my grades, and knowing that Notre Dame's going to help me with that is great. And of course, yeah, Cornelius Johnson and I work out together at Overdrive in New Canaan, Connecticut. Shout out Carrington Becks, it's our trainer. Um, yeah, so him and I like we always work one on one against each other, wide receiver versus DB, and he's special. And I was so happy for him that he won that. He deserves it. He worked so hard. And to that choose hard, it's just like what Coach Freeman says that choose hard is like just let it come to you. Like you don't choose Notre Dame, Notre Dame chooses you. And I think just the choosing hard is really important. And it's just a big statement that really exemplifies Notre Dame.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. No, that's awesome. No, that's great that you work out with Johnson. That's probably some fun workouts in the summer.
Yes, sir.
Do you have anything else, Burnson? Is it?
Oh man, there's always something, right? It's
Let me hop in
go for it.
because I just muted myself as I was trying to talk. I don't know why I did that. Ethan, I know you talked to my coworker Kyle Kelly more than I talked to you, but someone posted in the chat like, where is Ethan from? Because a lot of the guys at your school aren't from the area. So are you a Connecticut guy? Or are you from elsewhere?
So yes, I'm from Milford, Connecticut. So I'm more south. So I'm close. I'm like an hour and a half away from school.
Okay.
But traffic gets crazy down here.
Yeah.
So, but just being from Connecticut, it's just great. Like people, like you said, our league is great, but people sleep on us down over here. Like they only think of the South, the West for football, and they don't understand. Like we got dogs out here in Connecticut, and we are going to work. We are going to work in the classroom, work on the field, work in the gym. And I think people are starting to realize that there's people in the Northeast that can play football, that can play ball. So we're on the rise for sure.
So you commit to Notre Dame on January 8th. I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here, Ethan. You can answer this however you want, but You kinda knew you were going there for a little while of time, if I recall correctly. I mean, are you able to tell us, like, how long you kinda knew, like, "Hey, Notre Dame is gonna be the choice for me," and, why you wanted to announce in January?
So it just happened to be January 8th. My number, it's my lucky number.
Nice.
It means a lot to me. It's not just my lucky number. It was actually for this girl in Milford who passed away from cancer, and my father was best friends with her dad, and she used to hang out with me, like babysit me. And when she passed, I was kind of heartbroken. So I wear number 8 for her, and I like number 8's always been with me. It's like it's kind of funny, like everything that happens to me, number 8 is somehow involved. But yeah, I knew for a while. It was like early December, I think it was. I couldn't wait any longer. It was only in a matter of the time. They called me every day. They really I don't think I committed too early. I don't think I did any of that. I didn't feel any pressure. I felt like this was meant to be, and I found my home. Every time I step foot on that campus, it's just like I want to be around these guys every day. I can work out with these guys every day, and I can play the game I love with these guys every day and have fun doing it. So I think that's what sealed the deal.
So, as we're popping on the film for podcast audience, we're watching Ethan Long's film, Class of 2025 Notre Dame Commit. I'm sure whether it's during the recruiting process with Notre Dame or you're reading articles or you're seeing tweets from fans, people throw out the name Kyle Hamilton. Um, I don't know if you're going to be a first round pick, Ethan, but the play style between you and Kyle is kind of similar. That's got to be a pretty cool thing to hear from people kind of comparing you to who's someone who's already one of the best safeties in the NFL.
Yeah, so like I don't like to think about it too much. I don't want to get my head too big because Kyle's one of the best safeties and he's a rookie in the NFL, and he's just a great player. And hopefully I want to meet him, work out with him and all that, because I really do. I watch his highlights, his film every single day because I really do see myself in him. And no, Coach O'Leary and I and we had so many talks about this at camp, like how much I talk, how much I move, how much I play like Kyle. And I think that was another thing that stood out to me. I was like, he tapped into Kyle's potential, and like only what he can do with me after he went through it with Kyle could be great.
Now, I also wanted to talk to you about Matty Augustine, one of your teammates, huge Notre Dame target in the class of 2025. You guys are both going to the junior day on January 20th. And I want to say you guys also is it just like during the school year? Like you guys live together?
Yeah,
Is that right?
I'm in his brother's room, his guest room right now.
That's awesome. So is it like going up to dinner and being like, so hey bro,
I'm not gonna push on him, but I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna do my part, and he's going to come home and be an Irish as well, hopefully, because I really do. Maddie's a great player. He wants it, and he's like a brother to me. So obviously, I want him for the next 4 years at my school. So hopefully it would be a blessing. I'll be thanking God. It'd be great.
So is that one of those situations where you are like 90 minutes from school? So is Maddie's house just a lot closer? Is that kind of one of those deals?
Yeah, so, like, it's called the host family. Brunswick's so good with that. Like, there are kids that live so far away that get to live with host families that take care of them like one of their own kids. And the Augustines have been nothing but great to me. They took me in right away. They told my parents like we want him at our house. And it's really amazing how they make you feel comfortable, because moving out of your home at such a young age already is kind of hard. And the way they took me in just made it easier, and um, it was just a great opportunity and blessing that they came.
Just one more thing from me real quick, and then Tim, if you have anything else for Ethan, tell us about your cousin, I believe it is Austin Webster, former Notre Dame captain. How tight are you with Austin? Conversations with him since you started getting recruited by Notre Dame. Just kind of walk us through that because I think that's a pretty unique connection.
Yes, so Austin and I are very close. We talk almost every week. He's obviously busy with work and all that stuff and his life, but he's really like he's a role model. Like, he's someone I look up to every day. Like, becoming a walk on and earning a scholarship and becoming captain at Notre Dame might be one of the greatest stories you could possibly have. and he did it with such heart and passion, and people looked at him like, I want to be like him. And I was like, this is my cousin. Like, I'm so happy. Like, I'm so grateful that this is my cousin, that I can go to him with whatever, and he can help me out. He has great advice. He actually made like a really cool highlight. Can I pull it up? Like this
Heck
highlight
yeah.
this highlight tape that he made is actually
What
insane.
highlight tape of
Him and I, like, he put it together.
can you if you can send it to me on Twitter and I can just pull it up? Bro, what? No way. Oh,
That's awesome.
that was sick.
That's pretty awesome.
So
Got a
he
little-
sent me that after I committed, and I was so I wanted to post it myself, but I let him do it. I didn't want to take the creds, but hopefully he's watching. I told him to watch because I was gonna pull it up anyway. But that was he's so good with that stuff, and like that was really seeing Notre Dame in 2014, seeing the grotto, seeing the atmosphere of the game, seeing all the buildings, the history of Notre Dame. It was just amazing. Like, I have so many pictures of me as a kid wearing a Notre Dame costume, and it's been running in my blood for such a long time.
That is amazing. Austin, if you are watching, hit me up, bro. We got to get you on the show.
You do.
Tim, do you have anything else for Ethan?
No, that was one of my things because I mean, there's a video out there for all the Notre Dame fans watching. Go on YouTube when Austin Webster got his scholarship, a great 6-7 minute video, and that's right, which is awesome because your cousin was really the beginning of this whole switch at Notre Dame that Brian Kelly started and Freeman's rolling with as well. That whole culture switch after by the way, I'm born and raised a Notre Dame fan. 2016, we don't talk about when they go 4-8. It was horrible, but they flipped it. They switched it. They literally did an entire reboot in the program, and your cousin was one of the reasons for that with his leadership and just being a part of that whole change. And that video, everyone go find it. Google Austin Webster scholarship Notre Dame. It is unbelievable video. But I had something real quick. I just thought of was one thing in your class. I think all of you guys have been to the camp or have worked out for the coaches and things of that nature. What is that? I mean, that's really competitive. All you guys getting together, having fun in South Bend, practicing. I mean, you guys are all high-end Notre Dame future football players, yet you're going to the camp and you're balling out versus so many other guys. Every time Singer and I talk about the 25 guys, he's always bringing up clips from the camps. I'm like, oh my God, these guys are going against each other. So what's that atmosphere like? And is that part of the Freeman talks about competitive edge nonstop? Is that something he speaks to you guys about during those camps?
Yeah, so all the commits are in a group chat, and we're the best competitive, like we're the best of the best. We believe in our minds, and we like to compete every day. Like, to be the best, you got to play against the best, and that's what we want to do every single day. So obviously, like Ivan and I, we're gonna compete against the wide receivers, and we're gonna go at them, like Deuce Knight and all them, and we're gonna compete, and it's just gonna make us better, and it's gonna make us closer, and it's gonna benefit us.
So lastly, real quick, because it's a huge thing on our message board here at Blue and Gold. People always talk about basketball. Who's the best basketball player in class of 2025?
Out of the commits?
Yeah, let's just go with the commits. How's that? Who do you know?
Right now it's between me and Deuce.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see some clips of Deuce, and I'm like, oh, he gets up a little bit, but I don't know. I think I got Deuce. I'm gonna have to play him a little bit.
Are you on the hoops team out there at the school?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, sir.
Awesome.
You guys should pull up and watch. I'm not too bad.
All right, we'll have to do that. Well, Ethan, I appreciate you hopping on, man. This was a fantastic interview. Yeah, man, we'll definitely be in touch. And again, appreciate you. Great work.
Thank you guys so much. Have a
Thank
great
you,
night.
Ethan. Good luck to you, buddy.
Hey.
Man, that was fantastic. I love getting these recruits on here from the different backgrounds, and wow, was he tremendous, Tim?
Oh, I think it's awesome that he's also staying at Augustine's place all year and whatnot. That is,
I
yeah. I mean, when that story came out that he was there, I mean, I didn't, follow that until Kyle was reporting that. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So, not obviously sway recruiting, but I mean, can you imagine two really good football players at the same school going to Notre Dame, living in the same house, so to speak? So that and real quick, I didn't get into it, but you mentioned it briefly, Mike. I mean, I followed Notre Dame recruiting for many, many, many moons, and for some reason, man, this junior day on January
it's
20th is like
huge.
freakish.
Yeah.
There's some dude. I mean, Freeman. I mean, there's been good ones, but this one is better than last year, than 2 years ago, three. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, man, it's just so well put together, and it's like these guys coming on January 20th. It's like they could suit up and be a hell of a football team in 3 years. I mean, it's a heck of a group. So
Okay.
he's got some hoops out.
Okay, Ethan.
Yeah, exactly. We need to
Oh,
get.
oh,
Look at that.
oh, you
Yeah,
got
we
that
need-
in your bag, Ethan.
Yeah,
Okay.
we need to get Ethan and Deuce dunk contest. Some private one, dunks to post for everybody.
Someone call up Coach Shrewsbury. What?
Oh, he can shoot. Look at this. Oh,
Okay. And that's on one game. Okay, Ethan.
not
All right.
bad, not bad.
Yeah.
That's pretty. Yeah, that's some
I
big jump.
I
There.
agree with the comment here. Cool kid. He is a very cool kid. So that's Ethan Long, new Notre Dame safety commit in the class of 2025. Really appreciative of his time chatting with us. Yeah, very, very good interview. So man, going back to the discussion we were having about Michigan and Washington and with how it relates to Notre Dame, Tim, that you were discussing before. What else did you want to talk about? What was on your mind?
It's just moving forward. I think if anyone wants to ask about this or just chat, it's like what? Yeah, I mean, the big thing obviously for us is what does this mean for Notre Dame? And I think the 12-team playoff is. I mean, it's 12 teams, or you're going to the Sun Bowl and Gator Bowl. I mean, that's really what it is. There's no more New Year's Six. There's no more. Well, we could get this afterwards. It's either host a playoff game, get ready to go play in the Peach Bowl in the quarterfinals,
Or
you're going
everyone's
to the
up.
Pop-Tart. Yeah, you're going to the Pop-Tart Bowl. It's like, I mean, that's what college football is, and and the one thing, and it's been talked about a bunch. Even going back to the blue chip ratio with Michigan was 55%, but it was obviously a lot of older guys staying in the program, guys trusting the head coach, the strength coach that Michigan has is awesome. Everything they say about him and how he's built that team from scratch as well. So Freeman's doing that as well, and it's like, man, it's odd to chat about because it's the small little school in South Bend. You just get a bunch of dudes committed, and Notre Dame's been close. And one of your questions was, as we were talking this morning, is can Notre Dame win a national title? And there's some out there that say no. I'm like, hell yeah, they can. They've proven it. They've been right there, for crying out loud. Brian Kelly got him there in 2012, and it was a committed team. You had 10 and 11. You had 10 losses. You had back-to-back 5-loss seasons. In year 3, Teo and all these older dudes at Weiss recruited were like, we're done. Enough of this. And they kind of had a little culture shift down there, and they won it. And then a lull for a few years. 2015, man, 2015, all the guys that followed Notre Dame and watched those games, that team was freakish. There's so many damn NFL football players on that team. They lose 2 games by 2 points. So they're right there. Had they had a D coordinator with half a brain, they would have been in the Final Four. And everybody who follows Notre Dame knows that. Everybody. So that team was as stacked and could have competed with anybody. 2018, 2020, get to the playoffs. So Notre Dame has shown we could get there. So winning a national title is very, very doable. Is it hard? Of course it's hard. Hell, winning games are hard, that old saying, but it is. And now Notre Dame's got to win 4, but it also goes back to this point, I think, in recruiting, Mike, is what do you think? I mean, you follow all this stuff and you see all this craziness out there. It's like, it's nuts with so many people coming and going. So Notre Dame you know what, they got 8 transfer guys. They may get 1 more, maybe 2 more, who knows? But let's say they top out at 10. That's a drop in the bucket compared to 90% of the programs that are just retooling like mad all over the place. So, don't you think?
A drop in the bucket? I mean, how many more some of these other schools bringing in?
Oh my god, man.
I
There's
think I
there's
can look
programs,
this up.
there's programs out there bringing in 15 to 25 like with no issues. You know, the handful that I've seen. So, that's a lot. I'm not saying everyone's bringing in 25, but you're saying I would say 15 to 20. So
All
if
right,
nobody finishes with 8, you're in the single digits. I think teams are bringing in way more than that.
all right. Colorado's 20, Louisville 22, Ole Miss 13, South Carolina 15, FSU 10, Missouri 10. This is here. I'll show you guys what I'm reading.
Yeah, just guys already.
This is the I guess this exists on 3 transfer portal rankings. So
So these
Wisconsin
are guys that have
13,
already signed, correct, Mike?
uh, the transfers in.
Oh, yeah,
I
that
don't,
what it is.
they don't sign.
Yeah,
Transfers don't technically sign. They just
yeah,
enroll.
they just enroll. Gotcha.
So yeah, Cal 11, Syracuse 10, NC State 10, Washington 7, Kentucky 9. So I mean Notre Dame 8 has the 15th best transfer portal class. I don't
Class.
know how the heck they do this score, but it's like it's weighed, with your transfers in and transfers out. So Notre Dame's brought in 8 so far, and they've got 14 out. But look at Indiana,
Well,
21 in,
yeah,
23 out. So I would say like
where do you have A&M? Is A&M? I mean, you're scrolling so fast. It's like were they already up there? A&M is like,
A&M's 19 in, 21 out.
but 19 guys in, and that's not even the spring portal window yet. You know what I mean? It's like, so they're gonna Elko's gonna get more before Notre
So,
Dame plays them in game
yeah,
one.
but I mean, as we scroll this, I mean, you have schools that are, less than Notre. I would say 8.
I think
Let's just say Notre Dame gets to 9.
mm-hmm.
That would be about kind of
20ish.
middle of the pack.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
So yeah. So they're not no drop in the bucket, Mr. Tim. But
Yeah, but still, it's still single digits.
there's more
They're
elsewhere.
not gonna, like I saw Iowa and Kentucky way down there. I could care.
But
they have
also,
zero shot at winning a title. Notre
A&M
Dame,
had A&M had 21 out, so you got to bring in a little bit more. I mean, but some of the
that's been
things
like
with the
that every
portal,
year.
things about the portal when guys leave is some of it is the Rico Flores is where it's like we did not want to lose him, but he left. And then there's others where it's
Sure.
like, here's the door. It's kind of like
Exactly. There's been a handful. I mean, especially at Notre Dame, there's been a handful of those. Like, hey, you've been here 4 or 5 years, you got your degree, you still want to play, move on. We understand that.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to happen each and every year. So, you got what did Freeman bring in last year? 7. So this year could be 8 or 9, right? 7 or 8 last year. I lose
Yeah.
track.
Yeah.
So it's still single digits.
7.
Was it 7? Yeah. So it's still single digits, but it's like in the South, these teams, is there going to be a transfer program that just loads up on transfers and competes for a title? That's going to be an interesting thing. And that's, can a program like Notre Dame almost copy? God, how do you say that? I know everyone hates Michigan, but how do you copy Michigan's thing, and where you just keep guys together for an extended period of time until that season's right? Kind of like 2020 at Notre Dame and 2012 at Notre Dame.
Big part of Notre Dame not being able to bring in 20 guys is the academic side of things. They can't really bring in undergrads. The only thing they can do with undergrads, well, I shouldn't say that. For the most part, it's either someone who just finished up their first semester at Notre Dame, or a Riley Leonard or Brandon Joseph, who's, a junior.
Academic.
They come from Duke or Northwestern,
yes,
or a grad. So Notre Dame is kind of, football programs working with one arm tied behind their back there. They just don't.
Or even a Bo Collins. Bo Collins, I heard, doesn't have his degree yet, correct?
Yeah,
but
so
they
Bo
recruited
doesn't have
him.
his
They offered
degree.
him. He comes from a high-end high school academic kid,
No,
right?
he doesn't have his degree yet. He's not getting here till the summer, though. So
he's not. Oh, so he's not a spring guy. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. That was news to me, and I put that in an
Yeah.
article yesterday.
Okay.
So, yeah. But kind of segue into our next discussion is on Notre Dame does have 3 receivers coming from the portal. Collins will be here. Tim, I'm going to put you on mute. Collins will be here in this after spring ball, and then you'll have Chris Mitchell from Florida International. I'm sure he's getting there this weekend or so. I'm assuming the transfer guys get in the same time as the high school early enrollees, and then Jaden Harrison was the new commits. When we kind of broke for or had a break for Christmas, they're hearing from sources that once January rolls around, Notre Dame's going to go get a receiver and a safety. Here's your third receiver, Jaden Harrison. Maybe a number 3, number 4 kind of receiver for Notre Dame. If he goes out and gets 28 receptions for 410 yards and a touchdown like he did in his last season in Marshall, I think Notre Dame would be happy with that. And then he had a couple kickoff return touchdowns. Notre Dame would love to have that. So they're bringing him in as and I said this in a video that I did with Tyler Horka today that will come out on our Blue and Gold YouTube channel tomorrow. Like Jaden Harrison coming to Notre Dame is a quality over quantity kind of guy. He's not going to have a ton of touches, but when he touches the ball, good things are going to happen, or that's at least the plan. So Jaden Harrison coming to Notre Dame, and then Rod Hurd is an interesting one. Tim played mostly cornerback. I know he played a kind of a linebacker in the cover in the Tampa 2. I believe Tyler Horton was telling me. I didn't watch their bowl game. That's what Tyler was telling me. So Hurd, kind of a versatile guy. And Tim, I know Notre Dame was going after or was looking at safeties in the portal for a while. And, I don't think they really loved all of the options. And I think that Rod Hurd is their favorite option that they have as someone who they're going to move to safety. At least that's kind of my read on the situation, Tim. So your reaction on Rod Hurd, Jaden Harrison coming to Notre Dame?
Yeah, the Marshall guy is, that guy, I don't care what he does, get the ball in his hand a couple times a game and something's going to happen. He's like, seriously, he's like, people will be like, oh, insurance policy or whatever, or he's a backup. No, the dude could run. So he could run. Notre Dame has had a lot of dudes that could run on the outside perimeter, as we saw this season. So wherever he plays, I don't know, who cares? He's going to return kicks. Heck, he was a first-team All-American on 2 of the couple national, the consensus ones. He was first-team All-American on a handful of them. So he's electric. He's got a different gear to him. And guess what? He was here 2 years ago when they beat Notre Dame. So he's played the ball in that stadium. So he knows that field quite well. But no, I mean, he was nice. As soon as he came aboard, like, whoa, went and checked out a few of his highlights, and it's like playmakers. Just get some stack bodies. Just keep stacking bodies. And I think that's what it is, going back to him, Collins, Thomas, obviously, Cam Williams is a freshman coming in, Gilbert. Got a handful of slots. I think what he does is bring a veteran presence, a guy that's played a lot of college football, where you don't have to play Greathouse on the outside where he's not a good football player. His strength's inside. Really good inside football player. So excited about that. And then the Northwestern guy, my God, Mike, he's played I think he was 40. He's like Sam Hartman. He's played 45, 46 games.
Yeah.
And he's got almost 200 tackles coming to Notre Dame. This guy is playing a lot of football, which is exciting. So you got experience back there. Because outside of Watts, you lost Ramon Henderson, who's been on the field the last 3 years. Since Freeman's been here, he's played a ton of nickel and dime. DJ Brown just finished his 6th year. So you got another experienced guy. Those 2 guys have been big time players under Marcus Freeman's 3 years, DC and 2 as the head coach. So behind that, it's just freshmen. It's a bunch of newbies. So you got an experienced guy, obviously Clark coming from Arizona State. You got 2 vets, which I think bodes well for Notre Dame. But the Northwestern guy is just watched a little bit of his film, saw him run around. Another athlete. Notre Dame is very good at corner, as we know. It's finding that nickel to that. Who's going to play next to Xavier? We know Xavier Watts is going to play all over the place. We know that. But who are those other 2 basically in their 4-2-5 base defense, meaning the rover and the other safety. Who are those two DB guys? And
Clark and Harrison. That's the plan. You got to think it's Clark and Harrison, right?
Yeah, no, exactly.
I'm sorry, not Harrison. Hurd.
Yeah. You got two vets right there, and then let you mix in a Don Shula, Minnick, and then you got these freshmen coming in this year to round out a 2 deep. But no, it's exciting. It's good news because the transfers they brought in, Mike, are like just boom. You see them playing right away and getting on that field and helping this team move forward in 2024 and find a damn way to get into that top 12, Mike.
Yeah. You got to love the push that Notre Dame's had. They're not sitting back and being like, this guy's just a year. Yeah, let's just develop the guys we have. Like, no, Notre Dame is pushing. It's like a 1 year life all the time for Notre Dame. Well, it's like, all right, we have this season. We need to go win as much as we can this season. Doesn't work out. All right, reset, do it again next year if we get the chance, kind of deal. So I don't know.
Well, no, that's everything. Boom. As soon as Saban retired, it's almost like just going back to him and what it means for Notre Dame. You're still right, because every year is just a different year, man. I mean, you've got to think that way. If there's a dude out there that could help your team,
yeah,
you got to bring him in. You do, because you're going to lose 10, 15 guys in the portal, which is fine. Marcus Freeman's going to do that. I think that's why we're going to constantly see the, 23 to 25 class, signees load up, with your 7 to 10 transfer portal guys, let's say, that are older guys that come in and play. I think that's very, very important, for building and, continuing Notre Dame down the road here.
Irish fans, we know that you love Notre Dame memorabilia and unique Fighting Irish items, and you can only find these things at one place, especially as you really leaning into the word unique here, and it's Augie's Locker Room, which has moved to a brand new location. Check out Augie and his brand new store located at 1733 North Ironwood Drive in South Bend, right down the street from Notre Dame. So whenever you are in time, come on, Singer, you got this. Whenever you are in town, please make time for Augie's Locker Room. Check out their wide selection of Notre Dame Stadium pieces, jerseys, helmets, autographs, and one-of-a-kind Rockne items. Check out the exclusive Joe Montana signed items that they have, and famous sculptor Jerry McKenna's replicas of the bronze statues that you'll find around the stadium. So always unique stuff over at Augie's Locker Room. And he gets new stuff in all the time. If he doesn't have it in store, he's going to go find it for you. Visit Augie again, 1733 North Ironwood Drive in South Bend, and see the vintage helmet display dating back to 1890. He's got some amazing stuff, folks. You're going to want to go check it out. So visit augieslockerroom.com for more info. Give him a call, 574-277-6363. Again, 574-277-6363. Tim, wanted to talk about the scholarship chart, because I just figure that you have something interesting to say about it, and I want to know what you've got to say. So I'm just going to pop it up on the screen. Did you have a chance to look at this when I sent you our outline for the show? Did you get a chance to look over the scholarship?
Just throw it up. No, after 20 inches of snow, I've been busy a little bit, but that's all right.
Doing what?
Trying to drive here to chat with you.
Yeah, so we'll just start with the offense. What are some of your thoughts looking at sorry for podcast audience, just go on YouTube.
You obviously go right to, Riley Leonard, and then the battle for number 2, the way Steve played in the bowl game. You got to feel he's got the inside track, which, by the way, because the fact that he's here is awesome. I mean, we haven't talked about that, Mike. He could have left. That portal was open for him to jump ship if he wanted to, because he knew Riley Leonard was coming here after the Sun Bowl. It was a period for him to leave, and he did it. So he's going to be here. He's going to compete. He's going to be in the spring. And I hope he stays, because he's a snap away. And I think what he showed in that game, he can lead Notre Dame to some wins. So that's important. Running back. Mike, what are the odds of these 6 being here in first day of training camp?
I don't see. I guess Evan Ford can play another year, but I just don't see it.
Yeah,
Right?
I know, and I know. I've always been worried someone may leave, especially after the Sun Bowl performance. But yeah, and then the wide receiver one is interesting because it's still young guys after the just brutal mess between basically 19 and 22. So we can throw Tobias year in there. It's a mess.
Yeah.
So you got these young guys being mixed in with these old. I mean, look at that. Look at the freshmen to the older guys. There's a bunch of them. So just keep mixing those guys in. Faison and Greathouse may. I mean, they may be up there with like the best slot tandem around. At
Yeah.
least in the upper echelon. Those two guys could play. I'm telling you, Greathouse. I've said it 5,000 times. He was going to be a freshman All-American. He was having a hell of a season until he got hurt with that hammy. When he came back, he's an ultimate team player. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a captain down the road. He had to play outside because they didn't have any outside guys, and that's not his strength. So if they could keep him inside, rotating with Faison, with what Coach Denbrock wants to do, I'm expecting more 11 personnel. It's going to be awesome. Tight end is just tight ends. They got dudes. Kevin Bauman's the interesting one, right? It's like with the injuries, he's still on the roster, or is he just there to get a degree? I have no idea, right? To get a degree, does he transfer in the spring window? But he's there. So
he came to Notre Dame in Mayor's class. That feels like forever ago. He's still here, man. And I guess he's got 2 years of eligibility too. So I don't know how, but
they got dudes in the interior. They're strong there. Christophic's still here. He was one I really expected to leave because he's the same class as Zeke Correll. So, but he's here and it's a 6th year. So we'll see what happens there. But the key for Notre Dame's success, and we'll get into this a billion times, is as much as we talk about wide receiver, quarterback, and blah, 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 they're going to take a dip at offensive tackle. And that is that going to hurt them in moments in just a handful of games? Notre Dame's schedule is extremely soft. I won't say easy, it's soft. But is there going to be moments of the offense attack? My God, people, Joe Alt is a freak. And then Fisher is going to be, 2nd, 3rd round pick. He just is because he's a big athletic kid who played at Notre Dame. So they're going to take a dip out there, and it's going to be interesting to see who replaces them. But Baker was very solid in the bowl game, and Charles got his feet wet as a true freshman, which is awesome. Ashton Craig's a stud. Who's the number 2 behind him? We'll find out in spring. But Ashton Craig's he's awesome. He really is. He's going to be an NFL center. The way he finished his season was really, really good. So
yeah.
And then on defense, Mike, it's going to come to we know they're old and strong on the interior. I mean, look at all those vets they got inside. So you got 2 starters. Anya and Rubio have played a ton. Hyde started to get in a ton this year. Tyson Ford was Freeman's first big recruit when he came aboard. How does he start to mix in? Because he's a big, good-looking kid when he's been out there. And then it's linebacker. You're replacing 2 guys that are going to be playing in a couple big high-end all-star games with J.D. Bertrand and Maris Leofau. Where does Kaiser fit in? He's the captain. He's going to play. I don't think it's Mike. Goolsby and I talked about this the other day. We think he's Will. So the battle for Mike is going to be just freakish. And then where does Jalen Sneed mix in? Where does he fit in? And I'm happy Botello's coming back because I'm a big fan of starting as your 2nd year. That's something people lose track of. Is Jordan, his first 3 years, he played multiple positions. He never sat somewhere for an entire year. So this was his first full season playing one spot, which was Viper. So he had bounced back and forth between Rover and Viper his first 3 years. We'll see how he does in his 2nd year. I'm excited about that. And then the biggie is obviously safety, which is going to be the couple transfers mixing in with Xavier Watts. And corners, it's going to be a battle, man. You know what? Don't. I mean, obviously we know what Morrison can do, but Mickey Gray, those 2 guys are competitive as could be. Mickey's a pit bull out there the way he plays. And Christian Gray just looks like he's just a dude. When he was out there that last month of the season in those handful of games, every time you saw 29 out there, it's like, yeah, that's a good looking long corner. So that's going to be a battle, a great battle in the spring. But you're going into the season with 3, and the Northwestern guy has played corner. Clark is a good nickel safety combination guy. So secondary, should not miss a beat. And that's, Cam Hart's going to be an NFL draft pick, but I think secondary is going to be outstanding. And then lastly, to wrap this all up is making sure the DC comes back, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of, coaches coming and going and all that, the NFL is hiring. I mean, there's full staffs that have been fired. Head coach stays. There was Carolina fired every single defensive staff. I think the Bears got rid of every single coach on offense, something like that. I think the Colts got rid of a ton of, everyone's firing everyone. But hopefully Golden doesn't have any buddies out there as head coaches and he stays another year.
Yeah. So
because it's crazy in the NFL.
So it is 90 guys. If you add that up, this says 89 right here, but it is 90.
And that's counting the latest. Yeah, the
44 offense, 44 defense, and a couple special teamers. So it's funny because, Tim, I've been in this business for it'll be 11 years in March. Every school I've ever covered, the fans get worried when they see scholarship charts. Like, oh my God, we're above 85. What are we going to do? One, is there a rule change to the 85, Tim? Is that happening?
No, I haven't seen it. It's still 85. You you don't have to have 85 until day one of training camp. So it's 90. I bet you that thing's gonna be 78 after.
I know. That's what that's where I was going with this. I'm like, life is way too short to worry about Notre Dame getting down to the 85, folks. Print that on a t-shirt. So yeah, Notre Dame will get down there. I'm sure they know where I'm sure they know who. So they'll be fine. Yeah. So there you go. So that's kind of the scholarship chart rundown. Notre Dame again has 90 scholarship players, and I'm sure that there will be again, there's going to be several more coming off of this roster as Notre Dame gets down to 85. But another really interesting talking point is, does Notre Dame add anyone else? The 8 guys they have, they hit all of this. They wanted a quarterback. They got a quarterback, right? They wanted 3 receivers. They got 3. They wanted a nickel and a safety. I guess they got that. Hurd's not really a safety yet, but they're bringing in Hurd to play safety, right? So they got that. They wanted a defensive end and open, like kicker. So they got everything, but the one position that they haven't gotten yet that I was told that they were interested in was a tackle. If the right guy was out there, like, I think if they found someone that they think would improve, that tackle room, and be someone who could start for the Irish, I think they would go get him. But I'm just curious if it's a situation where they looked and didn't like what they saw, or if they just said, hey, we love Charles. We loved him in the bowl game. Tim, do they circle back around to it after spring practice? These are the interesting things. And then the other item with the transfer portal is, what about like an Alabama, right? Does Keon Keeley enter the portal? Does Caleb Downs enter the portal? If Caleb Downs enters the portal, I think Marcus Freeman should say, hey, Caleb, we'll give you half of my salary if you come here. Caleb, I'm joking. Caleb Downs, one of the best players in college football, in my opinion. He's fantastic. But seriously, like, does anyone from these other schools that are going to have potential coaching changes, what can happen? The what if scenario is another thing to keep an eye on.
And that's the dominoes with Saban leaving. I mean, it's just beginning. Because let's just say it's Dan Lanning. Let's just throw a name out. Then Oregon's open. Who replaces? You know what I mean? It's like boom, 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 boom. I mean, it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. So it's gonna, and that's the other thing, as we said at the beginning, for anyone who's jumped in late, is if a head coach leaves, the portal window is open for that entire roster. So anyone can leave once a coach leaves now in the NCAA. So there's going to be a lot of dominoes to keep falling. So when you hear so-and-so's in the portal and you're asking, oh, I thought it closed. No, not when a coach is gone. So there's going to be multiple programs because someone's got to replace Oregon. Then someone's got to replace that coach. It's going to be nuts in the next 20 days. I mean, it's going to be a madhouse. And that's why the signing day, the early signing period, the portal, oh my God, the calendar is just crazy, Mike. It is nuts. So It is what it is.
And I'm telling you, all of this college football craziness all started when they made that rule that, you could play in 4 games and still redshirt. Great rule. We all love that rule. But I really go back to that is when college football went to shit, is that day that rule got enacted. And then all of the other little super pro player things that have happened, and now we are where we are.
Oh yeah, and now it's just boom.
Mayhem.
Now you can leave. I mean, there are because I've been doing a little bit of research on A&M, getting ready for them to talk about them down the road. There are so many guys going on their 3rd school, and I'm like, it's just that is the craziest thing is the double the multiple transfers now that you can leave whenever. So, hey, I mean, students do it, right? If you want to transfer from that college to that college to that college, but the football thing, it goes back to hopefully stability with Notre Dame, with Freeman recruiting the right guys, building that culture, keeping that thing rolling, having a mindset, a whole team collective goal, and hopefully the iron strikes and good things happen in South Bend here.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is going to wrap up tonight's show. If you are just joining here recently, we had a stellar show. Talked with Ethan Long, who was tremendous, the Notre Dame class of 2025 safety commit. I mean, we've had many recruits on this show and on our channel, over the past few years, and I thought Ethan was one of the best interviews that we've had. So make sure you watch that. It was around 20 minutes into the live show. So please go and check that out. And we opened the show talking about Nick Saban retiring from Alabama, and Tim just kind of discussed some of the fallout of that and looked at it through the Notre Dame lens. So please rewind and watch it. And head over to blueandgold.com if you are like, man, I didn't get my Notre Dame fix yet. I need more. Go to blueandgold.com. Use the promo code UND1 if you're a new subscriber, and to the website. You'll be your first time signing up. Use the promo code UND1. It's just $1 out of your pocket for 2 months. So please consider checking that out and taking advantage of that. So for Tim Hyde, I'm Mike Singer. Appreciate everyone tuning into tonight's show. As always, folks, we will catch you next time.